Oh, guys, it has been a minute and I feel bad, but let's get this started. Grab the Corvette keys and I'll show you what is going on here. As you can see, after 4 months and $10,000, we'll talk about that. The Corvette's finally back in the garage. Crazy. No Pontiac Solstice. The Solstice has been sold. And what you see here is why my life has been so crazy and why it's been a minute for Guys Talking Cars is I'm in the process of moving, and this is going to be a big move. I'm heading quite a ways away from my current home. I'm not going to talk specifically about where I'm headed, but let's kick this thing off and we'll talk mostly about boy, what has been an adventure with this Corvette. So we are in the Corvette, gonna run some errands, and I have not had this thing washed since it's been back from the shop. Before it went in, I gave it a couple of, waterless washes at home, but I kind of want to get it, not detailed, but a good washing inside and out. And the weather's nice today. We're gonna do that. And then we'll pop back in a little bit later and go through what in the heck I did to this car, because man, it's been a journey.
Later.
Oh, here we are. Let's go check this thing out. Oh my goodness. That is much, much better. That is much, much better. Oh yeah. Holy cow. Looks nice. Wow. Oh man. You guys did the carpets and stuff too?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Almost looks new.
6.5 hours later.
All right, guys, so you see the thumbnail, you see the title, and indeed I am more than $10,000 deep into this 2005 C6 Corvette. Let's first backtrack a little bit. For those of you that follow the channel, you know I had a Pontiac Solstice. That was a 2006, and that is gone. A couple came from out of state. They flew all the way out to the Bay Area. This was sort of a throwback car to the Roadsters that her father drove, and this was kind of a birthday gift to herself, I guess. And I'm excited for them, and I hope they get years of enjoyment, because honestly, if I hadn't have picked up this Corvette, I'd still be driving that car. I just can't keep two cars that are very similar. And it's unfortunate because that thing only had 30-odd thousand miles on it, a lot of life left in it. What a fun car, what a fun car, what a great car. And anytime I think I owned it about a year, and anytime you do that, I always like to leave the car better than I found it. Hopefully that's the situation here. But man, new headlights, new battery, new hood struts, head unit, backup camera. Needless to say, not a money maker. You never make money that way. You lose money, right? So, but no regrets. Moving on. I owned it. It was fun, and we're moving on to the next thing, which is this beast. Let's talk about all the things that have been done to this Corvette since I got it. I did buy this car with my eyes wide open. I knew that my buddy who sold it to me in LA had been kind of frustrated by this electrical gremlin that was causing the car to not start consistently. So I dropped this car at the shop in early October of 2025. I mean, I only had the car a few weeks. And I was getting a little frustrated with this starting issue for sure. And I'm the kind of guy that's like, I want things to be right. I think most of us car guys do. We want to solve problems. But I knew electrical issues, I don't enjoy that at all. I do not enjoy weekend warrior hunting electrical gremlins in a vehicle. I needed to partner with somebody who knows these cars inside and out. I was not going to take this to like the Chevy dealer and say, hey, can you please, hunt and peck for this electrical problem. I needed a Corvette Yoda. And fortunately I found one, and this guy's been working on nothing but Corvettes for decades. And it's just a 2-person shop. Shout out to Max. Thanks, Max. And so that's where it went. But when you're just a 2-person shop and you got to kind of wait your turn, and you're trying to kind of Sherlock Holmes your way through a electrical issue, it's going to take a little bit of time. Plus, with the holidays in there, you had to minus out about 3 weeks. And so it took some time. And I'll cut to the chase here. Long story short, the issue ended up being a combination of the BCM communicating with this stupid steering wheel column lock thing that is unique to the 2005 Corvette. And so anytime that the column lock got triggered, it threw the BCM into a tizzy basically, and I'm just sort of simplifying this, and would not allow the car to start. So what was the solution? The solution was a new BCM that we then had to flash to eliminate the column lock and get this thing back to sort of a factory kind of setting where it's not an issue, because we don't want this rearing its ugly head again. I've tested it since then, because I went on a business trip for 2 weeks, came back, started up great. I've been driving it almost daily since I've been back from my trip, and it's working fantastic. This car also came with, a fair amount of parts that my buddy had bought and not put on, including a harmonic balancer, the windshield wipers, and some belts and so forth. Anyways, I told Max, you got it in the shop, let's just put them all on. I mean, a lot of people worry about the harmonic balancer, though. I've got to change it. It's 100,000 miles, so just fix it. And, there was a little bit of wobble on it, but it probably would have driven for another 50,000 miles. But hey, it's done. So while it was up on the rack, this is where things get a little bit crazy in how we rack up the 10 grand. We noticed a crack in the radiator, and so we replaced the radiator.
So this is your radiator here.
Yep, so I got a new radiator, right?
You see the crack right there? It was seeping right out of here. You can see it's all dark here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And this is all covered up in a shroud, so you really can't see it.
Yeah, so what, did something just impact it? Or what?
No, it's just
old,
it's just made out of plastic. And getting hot, it expands, cold, hot, cold, and it just starts to crack.
Oh my gosh.
Why they make them out of plastic, I don't know.
Also noticed one of the rear shocks was leaking, and you don't just replace one shock, so you got to replace the pair. So now it's got a new pair of shocks. So we did all of that as well. And then one of the things that was really bugging me outside of the electrical that I already knew about was that it felt like a couple of the gears, the lower end gears, were a little notchy, grindy, getting them into place. So I asked Max to take it out and focus on that and listen to that. That's after we fixed all these other things, right? So he's out test driving, and this is probably early January, and he comes back and goes, you know what? Based on my experience and what I've been hearing, I think you have a bad pilot bearing.
So this is your pilot bearing here. If you grab it like this and try to spin it, it doesn't want to spin.
Are you kidding me? It was that locked up?
Yeah, and so when you push the clutch in, the engine's spinning, and this is trying to, you can see this is where it was worn here.
That's what you sent me a picture of.
Yeah. And so when you disengage the clutch, this was still trying to keep it connected because it wasn't spinning. See? And you can see where this one's loose. Now this is the first drive shaft I got. And look at this one. This one's even worse.
Oh, geez.
And look at this one.
Oh, geez. That's terrible.
So then I sent it back, and then they gave me another one because you can't get this piece.
Got it.
This shaft is discontinued. And this one company makes them, but they're like 3 or 4 weeks out.
Okay.
And he says, "Will you send me yours? I can rebuild it, but it's going to take 3 or 4 weeks still." So then I decided, well, why don't we get a used one?
Yeah, and you feel good about that?
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah. I think
Good. So what's the problem with a bad pilot bearing? You know, he's like, the bad news there is, in order to get to it, you got to drop the whole, you know, clutch assembly. You got to drop the whole torque tube. It's like, you might as well fix the clutch too. Well, that's a $2,000 deal in and of itself. So I'm like, yeah, I agree. It's got 97,000 miles on it. The car might as well do a clutch too. So now we're just, you know, hearing the cash register just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
$2,800? That's the estimate on my car?
Okay, so fast forward to February, and I finally get the car back, and it seems everything's great. This thing seems bulletproof at this point, and it better be for what I've been putting into it. Took it on like a 7-hour road trip, and this thing is bulletproof. And as Max was saying, yeah, well, for what we've done to it at this point, the only thing left is if the engine blows up on me or something. I mean, but at least I understand this car now. I know a lot more about it, you know, and I'm 26 grand into this car, which isn't the end of the world. It's not like, you know, that's not Hellcat money, but, you know, that's why it's important to buy cars right. And by that, I mean, get the best possible deal, especially used cars, like something like this. You gotta, because you don't know what you're getting into. I don't care who's gone over it and who's done it and who's looked at it and who's owned it. You got to buy it for the best, meaning lowest cost you possibly can do. Now, I paid 15 grand for this car. Now I wish I got it for 10, of course, but you know, you always got to figure, I figure anytime you buy something like this, you're going to put $5,000 into it within the first year. Well, now I'm 10.
Oh, idiot.
Anyway, I'm very happy with the way this is driving at this point. Finally can just sit back and enjoy my first Corvette and go from there. Anyways, guys, we will try to be more consistent with our videos here this year in 2026. Like you saw at the beginning, I am in the middle of a big personal transition in moving, and geographically will be a very different place for me. So looking forward to that and continuing this journey with you all in the GTC family. So enjoy the road, be safe out there, and we'll catch you on the next video.